Welcome to Our Home, Your Holiday. I'm your host, Yento Liu. Today is another very special edition of the show since it is all holiday themed. We are filming in my kitchen. Welcome. One of the best things about Aruba is the fact that we've adopted so many different cultural traditions that we celebrate during this time of year. Today we are exploring one from Venezuela, and it is ponche crema. If you'd like to make this, you will need the following ingredients: some eggs, nutmeg, vanilla extract, a small tin of evaporated milk, condensed milk, rum, of course. And does your family have mugs or cups that are special that you like to pull out whenever this time of year rolls around? Well, in my household, it's the moose mugs. Let's go. The first step calls for a small holder and some measuring spoons because we are going to set this aside. To start off, we will need 1 teaspoon of nutmeg. And just so you know, I am kind of improvising here as well as adapting the recipe a little just because I've done a few trial and errors and there are specific things that I prefer. So 1 teaspoon of nutmeg and then 2 tablespoons of white rum, doesn't matter the brand, whichever you prefer. And then you set this aside. And next come the eggs. Have 1 whole egg, and then I've already separated an egg yolk. And then you need a clear bowl that is appropriate for a double boiler because this will go on top of a pot on the stove. So then you just mix the egg yolk with the egg into this bowl and you whisk. And we're just gonna add a little bit of condensed milk. Again, I like to improvise. And I don't like mine too sweet, so I'm only gonna have about that much in, kind of freestyling here. And then the evaporated milk, equal parts, and then it calls for equal parts of rum with however much condensed milk you actually put in there. So I'm gonna put about this much, which I would say is equal to the evaporated milk and the condensed milk. And then again, you whisk. And then you'll notice, because of the condensed milk, everything feels a little bit thicker. If you want to follow, that smells so delicious. If you want to follow a precise recipe, I've seen many online, so you can do that. I'm going to add a little bit more evaporated milk, again, freestyling, and then I'm going to add a little bit more of the condensed milk. All right, so we have our condensed milk, evaporated milk, and our egg yolk and 1 whole egg kind of whisked all together. And we have that frothy top, which is perfect. And now it does call for putting together the 2 tablespoons of rum and nutmeg that we did in the beginning. Put it in there. And then you whisk again. And in case you're wondering why the lighting in here changed, it started to rain outside, so we weren't getting that natural light that we were getting, so I did turn on my kitchen light. Once you've whisked the rum and nutmeg infusion into the bowl, a generous teaspoon of vanilla extract. And then again, our best friend for this recipe, our whisk. Okay, and then at this time, have a pot with a little bit, I would say 1 inch of water, just slowly boiling on the stove top, and then you put this on top of the pot as a double boiler. Let's go do that now. Then we walk our mixture and we create a double boiler. See, I've already boiled some water. It's about 1 inch of water, not a lot. And then you place this glass bowl just kind of on top, creating a double boiler. And we do this for about 15 minutes. I would recommend doing this on low heat, and what you're supposed to do when the concoction is on the stovetop, you're supposed to whisk it slowly until it thickens for about 15 minutes. Let's do some TV magic, shall we? Let me clean up while our drink is on the stovetop. I've taken our concoction off the heat now, and you want to continuously stir it as it thickens so the egg that you put in here doesn't curdle. It smells so wonderfully delicious. Once you see the concoction thicken on the stovetop, you set it aside, let it cool, refrigerate, then you have your finished ponche crema that we made together. Cheers. The creaminess together with the condensed milk and the rum, it just all fits in so well together. It is delicious and it gives you such a warm, cozy feeling. Also, these are our moose mugs, like I mentioned before. My husband pulls them out every year. It's very special to us. We drink wine in it, water, and it's only during this time of year. Here's why.
Just can't believe you're actually standing here in my living room, Eddie. Never thought the day would come.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too.
Christmas Vacation is by far one of our favorite holiday movies. We have to watch it every single December. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my ponche crema as we watch revisited stories that are holiday themed. Cheers.
I've been waiting all year for Oli Ballin. I don't need them, but I want the Oli Ballin.
Oli Ballin? That's how I say it?
Oli Ballin? Well, this is a local tradition here in Aruba. Every December, Oli Ballin.
Now that we have an idea of how to say Oli Ballin and got a sense of the excitement for it, let's get cooking. Here we are blending the Oli Ballin mix, flour, and dry active yeast, plus some water. Raisins will get added to this particular batch. The stop that we are filming at today offers 3 different kinds. They have plain, raisins, and chocolate. According to Harley, a bag of Oli Ballin mix can make up to 300 of the delicious sweet treats. After everything is mixed together, we let the dough rest. Then, voila! By letting the dough rest, it allows for it to rise. You can tell here that it's risen a bit. It is a 2-person job to hoist the batter up to pour into this machine, which is called the hopper, a piece of equipment from the Netherlands. Then the hopper gets to work. A lot of work. 2 at a time, the hopper plops out the perfectly rounded Oli Ballin, which in English directly translates to oily balls. Now the name makes a lot of sense considering the cooking process. So we let oil and heat do its jobs. While cooking is in process, you have to pay attention to continuously churn the crates accordingly to make room for new balls being dropped and to take out the ones that are done. Once the treats are nice and fried, they need to rest for a minute for the excess grease to drain. Then they are ready to be served, but there is something else needed to complete the Oli Ballin experience.
We always ask them if they like powdered sugar. And we would either give them a little or a lot, because some of them love powdered sugar, and they say that this is what gives them the kick that they like. This is what they look forward to every year, so I don't think it's gonna get old ever.
With the popularity of Oli Ballin during this time of year, with locals and tourists alike, shoppers are constant. The batch is ready for those in the holiday spirit and those with a sweet tooth. What does it really mean though when a shopper who lives in Aruba brings a bag full home to friends and family?
It's part of the Christmas season. It's part of the family tradition, so you can buy it, go home with it, make a nice cup of coffee or a nice cup of tea, and just enjoy with the family.
It's a tradition, so I'm here to buy some.
To locals, these round treats are meaningful. It brings joy into the household and also represents the most wonderful time of year is upon us. For tourists, it satisfies their palates but also adds to their holiday while visiting our home. When it comes to embracing local foods and what a destination has to offer, Jinjin Zhang from Delaware said it best.
I think one thing that Anthony Bourdain used to say that, you know, you want to get out of the beaten path and go to this little place and try the food that locals will eat. And that's really the pleasure of the travel.
We know almost nothing about it. We bought the Oli Ballin with chocolate.
And they're delicious.
Yes, we had them the other day and they were delicious.
We've seen how these deep fried sweets are made. We know that this is definitely part of the local holiday tradition here. And we know visitors of the island see this as part of experiencing something cultural. But let's get into what the Oli Bolins taste like.
Fantastic, soft donut, but it's better than a donut.
I would describe it as sort of a cross between an Italian zeppoli and a beignet.
Absolutely delicious.
Our special guest Araceli speaks Spanish and I speak English, so we're gonna compromise with me speaking Papiamento. Araceli,
Hi.
bombini,
Gracias.
danki babin.
Gracias.
Bisami, Kiko Buda Kushina Awe.
Yo ahora estoy haciendo cómo armar la yaca.
¿Cuál país?
Yo soy de Venezuela, tengo 4 años aquí en Aruba.
Una tradición.
Eso es una tradición familiar en Navidad. Nosotros tenemos un compartir familiar, de vecinos. Tú sabes, anteriormente intercambiábamos una yaca con otra, un plato de comida con pan de jamón, pernil, ensalada de galiña. Y la yaca no puede faltar.
Perfect. Let's get to work. Araceli's says the most important part of the hallacas is the meat stew that makes up most of the filling. Her traditional family recipe from Venezuela calls for stew meat, pork, and chicken. To get the flavor really going, she throws in other ingredients such as onion, chives, paprika, garlic, celery, soy sauce, cooking wine, oil, stock cubes, and much more. So for the sake of TV time, Araceli did prepare the meat portion of the hallacas a night before, but even when it's not for recording or filming purposes, she says you should do that anyways, because then you let the meat soak in all the juices and you let it all marinate overnight. Then it all becomes tastier. Oh my goodness, she's right. Another star of the hallacas is of course the cornmeal, which holds everything together. The secret to Araceli's hallacas is what she does with the corn flour. She kneads the flour with chicken broth beforehand, which is a step, according to her, that cannot be missed.
Yo siempre preparo la carne y el puerco juntos. La galiña la preparo aparte. Hiervo la galiña, lavo bien la galiña, la hiervo, le coloco ingredientes para que quede un dulce sabor y uso esa agua para hacer la masa, que es esta agua, tengo aquí, que ya usé.
Araceli says she thinks it is great that the island has adopted this delicious tradition during the holidays from her home country. But there are a few differences between the two typical recipes. The Aruban hallacas being made usually with only chicken. Instead of raisins, plums are in place, and some prefer it spicy. It is time to assemble and wrap. To start, make sure you have a piece of dry plantain leaf. Next, take a small ball of cornmeal and dip it in chicken broth. Then spread the cornmeal around the plantain leaf. Place a generous portion of the meat stew on top of the plantain leaf. Then top the filling off with ingredients such as carrots, green peppers, olives, and raisins. Time to wrap it all up. Give the cornmeal a bit of a shape before fully wrapping it. A ball of yarn is necessary. After the hallacas are all wrapped, drop them into a pot of boiling water to cook for approximately 45 minutes. With some TV magic, the 45 minutes is done and we can take one out of the pot to unwrap. After all the hard work that Araceli put in, it's time to taste. That is so, so good. Everything is tasty. Everything. The filling. Araceli also thinks it's good. Not only because she made it, but because it's actually very good. And that's a wrap on the mouth-watering hallacas with no pun intended.